Hi everyone, happy Friday and welcome to Live Weather Impact on WCNC Plus. I'm meteorologist Brittany Van Voorhees. Yesterday, I feel like I was the least popular person on social media, honestly, because talking about this snowfall potential or lack thereof has just been crazy over the last few days. If anybody is watching here on WCNC Plus, just remember the show is an opportunity for us to talk about the weather a little bit more in depth to you, talk about national weather stories, and kind of give you the behind the scenes look at what goes into our daily forecast. I myself would personally love to see a little bit of snow. I know not everybody agrees with that, but I grew up in Atlanta, so we have relatively similar winters to this here in the Charlotte area, and I would like some snow. This weekend, back in 2022, we were looking at the potential for 2 to 4 inches here in Charlotte. That was really the last big time that we had a big snow, so 4 years ago. And I mean, I would like some personally. I just don't think that this is going to be our time. So if you're watching this and you thought that my forecast was lower than others, just remember too, at the end of the day, the idea is to get it right, not necessarily put out an early forecast, a week, 2 weeks in advance and end up being wrong. I'm working to be as accurate as possible. And as always, earn your trust. So let's talk about this weekend. Charlotte area, potential snow. Maximum likely going to be a trace for our area. That does not mean that we won't see some snowflakes. We could see some flurries, but as Tim and I were talking about yesterday on this show, it is not going to be a snowstorm. It's more of a snow chance, and we're probably not making snowballs, snowmen, and having snowball fights. Although I'm sure Tim would love to throw a snowball at me, honestly, with the things that he has to deal with working with me on this show. But temperatures out there right now starting to get pretty chilly. We're at 43 degrees in Charlotte, still right around the upper 20s for the mountains. Still a bit of a wind chill factor right now, as we do have winds at about 10 miles an hour. Now that did have us in an elevated fire danger risk earlier today. Thankfully that has lowered because we're seeing lower winds over the next 24 hours. So not as much of an issue expected heading into the day tomorrow. Snow or no? I think that's kind of the $1 million question here in the Charlotte area. If we see anything, it'll be on Sunday, late morning, midday. I really genuinely do not think we're going to see a lot of impacts with this, and it's not just because we have lesser snowfall potential. It's also because of the timing this is happening. Remember that we're going into a long weekend. Many people are off of work, school on Monday. So even if we were to see a better chance of accumulation, it's really not going to impact as many people being on the roadways Sunday night or Monday. You also have to think about the time here. Late morning, midday. This isn't happening overnight, so this is not something people are going to wake up and be like, oh my gosh, I didn't expect this to happen. So thankfully that means lesser impacts, but again, I'm just trying to give you the forecast as to what I think is the most likely to happen, not trying to bum anybody out or make anybody upset. And I do not have kids yet, but I have a niece and nephew who are 4 and 1, and I know that it's kind of a bummer. So Tim said this yesterday, but it's probably not something we'd go ahead and give your kids a heads up about unless they, of course, already know about it. And then maybe we talk weather and why it's unlikely to happen now. As we look at satellite and radar, you can see the first cold front that rolls through the area tomorrow. It's still off to the north and west. As it moves through, we are going to see more clouds overnight and eventually that chance for some rain here in the Charlotte area tomorrow morning. Right now, I am expecting our boom or bust to be pretty consistent with yesterday. If not, that chance for 0 is coming up a little bit. So trace amounts again at a maximum. I did actually put these graphics a little bit out of order, so apologies for that. But let's get back to that first system that's coming in. So here's tomorrow morning. We have 4 a.m. areas of snow starting to move into the mountains. They will likely see an accumulation of about an inch or so. It's not going to be as much as earlier this week, but still a nice little dose there of the good stuff from Mother Nature. 9 a.m. few showers here in Charlotte. Notice the temperatures. It is still very, very warm, way too warm for any of that to mix in with some snow or some sleet. And then we actually get warmer before we get colder again. Temperatures will still peak in the mid-50s because that cold front rolls through, yes, but it kind of stalls just to our south and east. So whereas a normal cold front will typically move off the east coast and then dissipate as it continues to move eastward, this one stalls. And that's what keeps us on the moisture side of this, but also what doesn't allow for us to really lock in some of that cold air. That's one of the biggest changes over the last 24 to 48 hours is that cold air doesn't look to be as locked in. So while we look to have a bit more moisture, the cold air has backed off. So here's Saturday night, 10, 11 o'clock. Notice areas of light rain, a cold rain at that. It's going to be in the 40s, but notice 45, 43, 41, most of that moisture is where temperatures are setting up to stay above 40 degrees. Now, that can sometimes allow for sleet to mix in at upper levels of the atmosphere when you have a temperature closer to 40, but it's extremely unlikely to get pure snow with that because, yes, while upper levels of the atmosphere are still going to be cold, that allows for a lot of mixing out as it reaches the ground. If you're in areas west of Charlotte, the concern won't be as much about cold air, but as much about moisture content. Because again, if we see the moisture along and east of Charlotte, you have no moisture to work with. So if you're east of the city, we have moisture, but not a lot of cold. If you're west of the city, it looks like we have cold, but not a lot of moisture. So here's Sunday afternoon. Again, we're dry and quiet, but notice we just don't have those two time periods correlating where we have the cold and the wetness at the same time. So this is my latest snowfall map. I have adjusted this a bit to shift a little bit further south and east just to acquire those areas that could be a little bit wetter and spots south and east of Lancaster and Chesterfield County. I did get a text from my friend Linda, who works with the Lancaster SPCA. I've worked with them before, but who let me know that they are brining the roads. I think this is a precaution that a lot of cities take. I don't know if it's necessarily a waste or not. I won't speak semantics on that, but I will say that I am pointing this out to say that if you are someone who is very, very sensitive about your car, I have a few friends like this who, like, the second it gets dirt on it, they have to go take it to a car wash. I myself am not like that. Probably wish I was a little bit more. This is probably going to be a week where next week you're looking at trying to get a car wash, because remember that salt and brine can oftentimes come back up on your car. So just be mindful of that. Apologies for stepping away from the mic. So flurry watch. Yes, it's possible to see some flurries in Charlotte on Sunday. Is it likely? No. Do you need to worry about milk and bread and eggs? Also no. This is the latest from the Weather Prediction Center on our chance of seeing 1 inch of snow in the 24 hours between Saturday and Sunday. And you can see it's less than 1% for areas up in the mountains, which means it's even lower for us here in the Charlotte area. So here's that 7-day forecast from Jerry Hunt Super Center. Again, we're still keeping an eye on Sunday for a few flakes to be possible, a few flurries. Temperatures, though, I mean, look at the low and the high respectively. A difference of 5 degrees from 37 to 42. Again, it's just not setting us up for success when it comes to snow. Do I hope personally that we get a quick little burst at times? Sure. I love snow. Again, I love it. Temperatures again, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, going to start to cool off. We will see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all 3 mornings with temps in the 20s. So still probably want that heavy coat for the first half of the week. And then we do see a slight little warm up by the end of next week. I said this during the regular newscast, and then I got an email from someone who seemed to be a little bit confused. So I did say that winter isn't over yet. And they said, what do you mean by that? We're about halfway through winter at this point. So just remember, we get most of our snow in January. So just because we haven't seen it yet doesn't mean we won't see it at all. But in the long range forecast, there is still a lot of cold air in place.